and energy, which means for us as program makers and film producers, it puts us anywhere, totally technology free recording. I want to go out with a tiny little piece of equipment and shoot things and have it all beam wirelessly back to base, and you don't have to worry about the army of people that you have to take with you and things like that. So it's just like big broad brushstrokes about where we're going to be in the future. Okay, and before we just throw it open, 3D, I went to see Christmas Carol 3D. I haven't seen Avatar yet because I can't get my head around that. I wanted to see Alvin and the Chipmunks and all that stuff. Do you think there'll come a time, would you have loved Brookside to have been in 3D? God, no. No? No. Or do you think there'll come a time when television at home will be sitting there with those specs on? Sorry, that was me reacting firstly as executive producer, thinking of the costs. Because when we jumped from from 1 inch to beta, and then beta to digital, and then to high def, the costs just all do this, because you can see more. And we had to go back and reshoot stuff. Waterfront Beat was the first one we shot on Digibeta. And up to then, you could drive a vehicle across the field with a camera on it, shooting the action, As soon as high definition come along, you could see the tire tracks in the grass, You could paint a set with tube cameras, you could paint a set with one coat of paint, because you couldn't see the details. As soon as you get to digital, you have to put 3 coats of paint on because it would see the streaks. 3D, I think, with Avatar, I thought the best scenes worked on the close-ups of humans, because once you jump into 3GI, trying to mix 3GI and all that, but that kind of intimacy of being right in and getting that kind of 3D thing, I think is fantastic. And that's where, again, when people say about 3D, they go, oh, it's going to be amazing movies like Avatar, but it's going to be much more, I think, about intimate drama, where you'll really be able to see the beads of sweat and things like that. But then you have to then think about design, then think about lighting, then think about different techniques, start to bring that over, lighting techniques, color techniques and things like that. So it's really exciting, but, not brooky, not with a Channel 4 budget. Okay, do you want to ask Professor Phil Redmond a question? Anybody out there?
Hi, Phil. I'm sorry to start with a very abstract question, but it's the one that's on my mind. What is it that people consume when you say that it's on a 13-inch or now it's down to 4 inches? What are people actually consuming when they're consuming music in the moving image, for example? Anything and everything, I mean, I think if you probably think now, I probably have to think about my kids do, I mean, they're grazing all the time, aren't they? I mean, they're all Facebooking, so it's Facebook and MSN. And then they're jumping from that onto YouTube, and then they pick up EastEnders or they do MTV and everything, and it all runs through that 13-inch screen that they can keep on their laps, and it doesn't really matter. Or they'll flick to a text page and read it, It's just anything and anything you want to consume. And I think I used to always get very frustrated with the, can we say traditional business now? I don't know what phrases you know, but I used to get really frustrated with this video film argument. Because all that was about technology. I mean, film was a really old, sort of boring technology, and video was really new and exciting and cutting edge, But they were just different tools and cost tools. And now, what Cameron's done really, he's really pushed it, really blurring the edges, because it's all digital now. So therefore, we've lost that. And then I remember it being at the Birmingham International Festival, chatting, and some esoteric debate going on the platform. I remember Frank Otto-Boyce was there passionately defending, 16:9 letterbox. And this is all and then this kid, he's probably about 38 now, but he was about 18 then, sort of said, what are you looking on about this letterbox thing? He says, I only ever go to Blockbuster and watch it on 5/3. He says, well, what's the point of the argument, And I thought that was quite interesting. Just brought it all back to earth again. This is how people consume and that now. So it's anything and anything. And the thing about content is, people do it when and what and whatever they want to at their choice, And you'll find that people will jump all over the place. So you think about it in terms of what you want to produce. There's no length anymore. I mean, there's no form. I mean, BBC ITV and will probably still insist on like 24, 28, 43, whatever it is to fit their slots. But consumers don't think like that, do they? You know, so if something will only last 13 minutes, well, make it for 13 minutes, you know, because that's what they'll do. And actually, the more easier to download, the better.
Sol, have you got a question?
I have actually, yeah. I was just, I know you're obviously a technophile, and I wondered what piece of technologies had the most impact on you personally in the last 30
Me?
years. Yeah.
My Bosch V24 variable speed drill. you asked. But I mean, being daft about it, I mean, that's a fantastic piece of kit, and you can change it to being a power drill to a saw and all this kind of thing. But you can be out in the middle of the wilderness as long as you got your battery charged. Yeah, you're away. But no, I think the iPhone. I think, you know, I mean the potential of the iPhone, which we're just scratching. I mean, you mentioned that talk I was talking about. I've always gone on about this, and the iPhone is the first step towards that platform. The iPad is the next step, you know. And really, we're all walking to the Star Trek, aren't we, with it walking around, and it's like computer, this interacting thing. But so I think the iPhone is really the one. It's really the one that's really opened everything up. Right. And it's so easy to develop things for, and it's so easy to get into the market with it. And as I've said this before, if I hadn't been born in 1949, but something like 1969, you know, I'd be amazingly bullish and aggressive now about developing things, apps for the iPhone. I mean, in a few years' time, we won't be calling the apps, we'll just be calling it content. Because the idea of having I mean, to me, it's the most fantastic idea is the fact of being able to carry a device around that's linked to GPS so that wherever you are, you could have a movie interacting with you. So you could be on the set, or you could be at the location of where it was shot, you know. And that's what I'd do with Brookie now, you see. I'd have an iPhone app that you know, when you watch the show, you know, if you were out somewhere in town, it would come up and go, oh, this was the street that Jimmy, sort of, all that kind of stuff. So I just think it's a fantastic piece of kit.
Any other questions?
My name is Ayo Tundai Falana from Celebrity Support for Humanity. It's an emerging project. I just want to ask you, what are your personal core values that keeps you going on in the industry?
It's my core values. Well, I often usually flippantly answer this by saying that so many people tell me I can't do things, and then I have to go out and prove that I can, you know. But I think it's about the power of communication, and then the power of culture and the power of moving image and story to change things, you know, to make people think, expand people's horizons. And I also think it's a great shame that I grew up when television was a great tool of social intervention. You know, it really did sort of put things onto the public agenda that hadn't actually been out there. You go back to things like Cathy Come Home or Z Cars or Days of Hope, and that's what drove me to make Grange Hill and things. And I just think it's a fantastic tool to engage in those debates, stimulate those debates, and get people to look at things. And there's another strange idea, which is why people often say I knock the BBC, but I don't really. I'm always a great defender of the BBC, and it's why I went on before and went off on one before, because public service broadcasting is really important, and the fact that we've got a consensus in the country to still pay hypothecated tax of £140 odd a year for culture, for good ideas, good things, you know. I think that's a fantastic thing that we should all fight to protect, but it's not really the province of, you know, highly paid TV executives who think they're in some kind of global media game, you know, and claiming designer handbags on expenses and all that kind of nonsense. I think the real debate is that what can we do with that? You know, what can we do with